Tag team back again here at the greatest place to start the IndyCar Championship, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. What has your eye the most for this first race?
Honestly, man, it's like the first day of school here. There's a lot of new faces in new places. They all want to make a good first impression and start the season off right, but that also sometimes leads to chaos, as we know.
Speaking of chaos, we are pointed that way. The track is that way. How are we going to sort this out?
We're not going that fast either. We should probably tell the captain to speed up a little bit. Hey, Captain!
Yeah, relax. We're moving, but take your seats. This is going to be a wild ride. Ready to go for a new racing season in St. Pete.
Huge accident. More damage in the back. The track is total chaos.
We made it through. The top two are into the tires.
Ready to go.
Pato O'Ward could win.
Oh, nice problem.
Ericsson to the lead.
Let's go!
Oh, who doesn't love being by the water on a sunny day in Florida? Everybody's feeling good as we welcome you to IndyCar Live, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. And yes, that is really the atmosphere and the vibe here on the first day back at school for the NTT IndyCar Series here at the St. Pete Grand Prix, presented by Firestone. We are ready to go. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell, and race winner here on the streets of St. Pete, James Hinchcliffe. Awesome atmosphere, everybody's super excited. 27 IndyCars, Hinch, ready to go about 170 miles around these streets. You know how to get to victory lane. How important is it to start your season with a win, but especially to win here?
Well, why wouldn't you want to win here? I mean, look at the atmosphere, guys. It's such a party. It's spring break down in Florida. We're on the water, boats, yachts, parties, people. It's an incredible atmosphere, but also we're 20 years in. That's history. Drivers love winning races that have a bit of history, and like you said, Div, kicking the season off strong, getting that momentum is so key to a championship fight.
But listen, it's fun, it's colorful, it's wild off track, but inside the cage, it's a rage. 27 drivers with high hopes, tremendous optimism. They all think they have the magic solution to win here, but 1.8 mile street circuit with 27 cars, no other racing series in the world would attempt to do just that. IndyCar is gnarly start to finish.
Tell you what, some of these guys had the secret yesterday. That was in qualifying if you missed it. Joseph Newgarden, the reigning Indy 500 champ, he is on the pole here for the very first time. 6 different teams represented in those top 8 positions. That's the kind of start we want to a new racing season. But let's go to the head of the grid with Marty Snyder.
And Lee, you could tell yesterday this pole position meant just a little bit more to Joseph Newgarden. So why was this pole so important to you and the 2 team, Joseph?
It was a sweet surprise, I guess you could say. You know, I thought we had a good car coming into the weekend. I felt confident after practice, but you just never know if you're going to still be able to lay down a quality lap to get a pole position. And, you know, to do that right out of the gate is just very confidence inspiring for the whole group. You know, I think the world of this team, and I know I have the best of the best behind me. I really want them to achieve their full potential this year because I know what it can be. I know how high we can go. So I think it starts here. Let's try and get through this race and then build from here for the rest of the year.
You won the Indy 500 last year, but I have a feeling that didn't check all the boxes for you to satisfy all the goals you have for the 2 team. Where can you be better this year?
Yeah, all around. You know, I mean, I think for me, I'm getting back to enjoying my job. That's why I started doing this. I love driving race cars. I love working with the team. And it's a puzzle every weekend, right? We all come together as a group to try and beat our competitors and figure out the best solution. And I enjoy that so much. So I'm getting back to that enjoyment. And, you know, for us as a group, we need to be better in road and street courses. We've kind of started off exactly how we needed to. But it's a long season. This stuff is going to go up and down. Of course, we want to win the 500 again. That's a big goal of ours, #1 on the list. But we're going after this championship. And I think for us, if we can get there at the end of the year, I'm going to be really pleased.
Well, he won this race in 2019 here at St. Pete, went on to win the title that year. Georgia Hannaberry, that's the kind of start Joseph Newgarden is looking for in 2024.
Thanks, Marty. Felix Rosenquist going to start second today by just 0.006 of a second. Yesterday was intense. Today's going to be even more intense. But that strong run yesterday, does it motivate you any more today?
Absolutely. I think we have every reason to be motivated today. As I say, a good day yesterday. Really proud of the whole Meyer Shank Racing team. Yeah, today a little bit of a recharge, different task, different mission. Felt good in warm-up actually. I was a little bit curious how the car was going to feel on full tanks, but I liked it, and I feel like we have the right tools to deal with, you know, potential tire drag or, you know, yeah, like everything that hits us, I think we can deal with it. So it was nice to get that warm up out of the way. Yeah, let's see. We're one of the few cars on red, so that's also pretty interesting. Not sure how that can. I feel like the tires are pretty close this year, so I don't think it has a massive influence. But yeah, pros and cons to everything, right?
5 years ago today, you made your NTT IndyCar Series debut. What has that progression been like for you as a driver in this series?
Oh, it feels like ages ago. I feel like I've definitely, you know, matured as a driver. I have more knowledge in the bag, and even if I was not young when I came into the series, I feel like I was, you know, I really was a rookie, and there was a lot to learn, especially on the ovals and stuff. And yeah, I just have more experience in the bag and more an idea what I like with the car and the direction I want to, you know, push the team in. So I feel in a way more calm and you know, focused.
Focus is key there. And his first official race with Meyer-Shank Racing. That's Felix Rosenqvist. He's going to roll off second today.
Well, Georgia, last year, it wasn't really a big surprise when Romain Grosjean won his third IndyCar pole. But starting up front with a new team that has qualified near the back here the last couple of years, did you surprise yourself a little bit?
Yes. I didn't think we would be fast six on the first race together, but we made really good progress since the winter testing, and from FP1 the car felt great. So no, it's all about making sure that we have a good race car as well. But so far, very proud and very happy with all the work done by the team.
You were in position to win this race last year. How much has that gnawed at you for the last year?
Not at all, actually. I think we had a great run last year, and nothing we could have done differently. It was out of our control. So, you know, it's racing, and hopefully I got a bit more luck today.
Fresh start for Romain Grosjean. Lee, he is one of the ones to watch. They can get to victory lane today at St. Pete.
Kevin, even though he didn't go to victory lane last year, Romain Grosjean gave us so much excitement and so much to talk about when he and Scott McLaughlin clashed, going for the win of this race. That kind of gives us an insight into what kind of a day it's going to be today here in St. Pete. You're watching IndyCar Live on NBC Sports, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
The 2024 IndyCar season will bring many new faces in new places, but a familiar story for Felix Rosenqvist.
32 years old now. I've been with a lot of teams. You kind of bring with you the best bits of every place you've been.
The Swede will try to return Meyer-Shank Racing to form. Also hoping for a turnaround is Romain Grosjean, who has landed at Junco's Hollinger Racing after 2 winless seasons at Andretti Autosport.
I think we just need to go on track and see how we can find our feet and get on a good start.
Taking Grosjean's spot at Andretti is Marcus Ericsson.
You just won the Indy 500!
And we just saw a tiger that we have never seen.
They want me to be a leader in the team. Definitely a bit of a different situation when I was in Ganassi, where you have Dixon, who's been there for 20+ years.
Linus Lundqvist joins Ganassi. The 2022 Indy Next champ wants to build on some strong runs in spot duty last year.
My goal is to learn as much as I can from this amazing team, but I know that I'm going up against some of the best drivers in the world.
One of the best things about a new race season, drivers with new teams and new paint schemes, but some of the familiar faces though today, like Scott Dixon, Alexander Rossi, and Graham Rahal start mid-pack, so there's plenty of unpredictability of who the winner could be today to kick off the 2024 NTT IndyCar season. Look at that packed grid. All the offseason talk and hype is over. Time for the pre-race ceremonies from St. Pete.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your hats, as the MacDill Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Reverend Lewis Murphy offers today's invocation. And to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome the PCCA Nova Vox Chamber Choir.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Creator of the heavens and the earth, Creator of all mankind, all praises is due to your holy and righteous name. Thank you for the privilege of prayer, to approach your holy throne of grace and offer our petitions. Thank you for this beautiful day you have blessed us with, and this great city of St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you for the leadership of our mayor and all the elected officials, staff, first responders, and the organizers of this great event, the Firestone Grand Prix. Father, I pray for the safety of the drivers and crews. Put a divine shield of protection around them. Keep the spectators safe and allow us to have a wonderful, joyous event. In your holy name I pray, amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Reverend Murphy, and one more round of applause for the PCCA.
And this is how you get a season started right here. One driver certainly excited to get the season underway is Spain's Alex Palou. The now two-time IndyCar champion is ready to defend his title after an incredible 2023.
I cannot wait to hear Hello Palou in 2023.
Alex Palou, he has stepped it up to another level.
Here comes Alex Palou, a strong move into turn number 1.
Palou wins the GMR Grand Prix at Indy.
Good job, boys. Yeah.
I'm focused on the championship. We're starting off with the right foot.
This is a real warning shot to the rest of the field. He is setting himself up for that second championship.
Who gets the pole for the Indy 500? It's Alex Palou! Back on the streets of Detroit, and it's Alex Palou!
What a team.
He gained 20 points in the championship in one race.
It's tough to get big margins.
Alex Palou dominates with a 74-point lead.
Let's go!
Hello, Palou! He has won 3 in a row.
We'll do everything we can to secure it before the season finale.
For the second time in 3 years, Palou is an NTT IndyCar Series champion.
Oh my God! Race winner and IndyCar champion. I love that. You guys are the best.
The numbers in 2023 for Alex Palou just stunning, but it was really a mid-season stretch where Palou won 4 of 5 races where he locked up the title, trying to win his 3rd here this season. Well, race fans, now is your chance to drive away with a new Corvette, courtesy of Hy-Vee. All season, enter for a chance to win one of 3 Corvettes. Grab your mobile device right now, scan the QR code on your screen to enter. Well, one of the best things about the IndyCar Series is the international influence among the record crowd here at St. Pete. A few rabid Marcus Ericsson fans, Kevin, and I think these guys might just redefine fandom.
They were so fun last year when Marcus Ericsson got the win. They celebrated. That's where the party was. Hey, everybody, I'm just a little bit higher than you are up on pit lane. It's spring break here, so these guys are back. I can't find them yet. They're here somewhere, so I may leave pit lane just a little bit because I'm going to find them later today. And hey, Marty, I'm actually going to Sebring for the sports car race next weekend, so it's my spring break. I'm going to stay here all week, and that's where I'm going to be later on tonight. And there are 4 Swedes to root for, and these people might adopt the Swedes here too.
Kevin, I think if you find those fans, though, you might not come back to pit road. We need you on pit road today, Kev. Come back.
This is for later. This is for later.
Oh, yeah. Very good post-race plan there, Kevin. So much more to come here from St. Pete, including John Bon Jovi. Yes, Bon Jovi will be in the 2-seater today before the race with Elio Castroneves. We'll hear from Bon Jovi after his ride. And also Brett Michaels hanging out. He's in the house as well here in St. Pete to kick off the 2024 NTT IndyCar season. season. Green flag coming up shortly. IndyCar Live is brought to you by Liberty Mutual. Only pay for what you need.
Many times over my career, I've hit the road to start a tour. And there's nothing like the anticipation of the opening show. Loading in, warming up, sound check, taking the stage, and then there's hearing that rumble of the crowd.
There's something special. A season opener by the Bay just feels right.
Fans will line the streets, the runway, and the stands waiting for the roar of the St. Pete Grand Prix. You're here for the stars and the greatest hits.
You're right.
From the first chord to the final chorus, these streets, these engines will sing. Oh! Hold on. The stage is set to hit the streets of St. Pete.
Pretty cool to have a rock and roll icon like John Bon Jovi setting us up for the season opener as NBC Sports welcomes you to St. Petersburg, Florida for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. It's round 1 of 17 for the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series season. And what a gorgeous day we have for you here. Packed house, record crowd, all ready to see 27 IndyCars roaring down this runway and through the streets of downtown St. Pete. Who should you watch? Well, let's hear from a race winner. Here's Al Hinch.
You know what? I'm looking at the Thirsty Threes and Scott McLaughlin, guys. 2 years ago, he won from pole. Last year, qualified a little further back. He was 6th, but using good execution on the racetrack and smart strategy, put himself in a position to fight for the win at the end. He's starting 9th today, but I think the Thirsty Threes can fight for the front.
That's what James Hinchcliffe says. Townsend Bell for you.
James, I see your Scotty Mac, but I'll raise you. One Scotty D. Scott Dixon, the 6-time champion. Nobody in this field with more experience. Nobody in this field with more success. A 6-time champion for a reason. He's never won here, however. The reason he's a champion, he gobbles up what's on offer for points. He never asks for anything more. On a first lap where you're going to see 26 other young bulls charge down into turn 1, watch this old bull potentially walk down there and just take what's on offer. He is so smart. He's a master escape artist, and you need that here at St. Pete.
Isn't that extraordinary? No win yet after 2 decades of history here. It might just be today. Who else should we keep our eye on? Georgia Henneberry, tell us.
First and foremost, happy race day for the first time of 2024. We are just moments away from going green. I have my eye on the number 66, Tom Blomqvist. They have made huge gains in the offseason. This is a place he has never been to before. Jim Meyer, co-owner, told me that despite not having much track time in practice 1, they made huge gains over the course of the weekend. And he said the 17th qualifying effort was a really good effort for the team. They're looking to capitalize on that. And Tom told me a little bit earlier, this place is so physical, and he's really working on finding that balance of this Meyer-Shank Racing 66. Kevin, who do you have your eye on?
Georgia, Colton Herta is a 7-time winner, but the 23-year-old did not win it all last year in IndyCar, and that has been gnawing at him. He's always fast. He's won here before, and he thinks he can get back to victory lane today. The car is really good, and also what to note, that he is one of only 2 inside the top 10, starting on this softer alternate. This is a little bit faster. You might watch for Colton Herta to move forward early. Marty.
Kevin, remember this race last year? Pato O'Ward driving for Arrow McLaren. He almost had this race won. A final restart. There was an issue with the engine, and he lost that race. I asked him if this is the one that got away last year on Friday. He said, no, the Indy 500 is the one that got away, but this one was number 2. And quote, I have unfinished business here at St. Pete. I asked the young Mexican star, where can you be better this year? And he told me simply eliminating mistakes. If I eliminate my mistakes, we have all the tools here at Arrow McLaren to win an IndyCar championship. Perfect day in St. Pete. Let's kick off the 2024 IndyCar season.
Race fans in St. Pete watching around the world, it is time to give the command for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg presented by RP Funding. Please welcome your Grand Marshals, Mayors Welch, Kreisman, Foster, and Baker.
Drivers, start your engines!
Bring up.
That's what we wanted to hear. 27 Indy cars firing up, ready for 100 laps, 180 miles. The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete is next. A 76-degree blue sky day greets us here in St. Petersburg, Florida, for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete to kick the 2024 season off. We couldn't ask for any more. An increased crowd on last year, record-setting numbers, and it's all set to play for. For Joseph Newgarden, who's won here twice, the Indy 500 winner has never been on the pole, so he's checked that one off the list. And how about for Meyer Shank Racing's Felix Rosenqvist? They haven't had a pole since here 3 years ago. That feels good for that team.
Really cool to see Joseph Newgarden get that street circuit pole that he wanted. So you got Penske up front. The question is, where is Ganassi? Look at rows 6 and 7. Dixon and Palou, those two drivers first and second in last year's championship. But James, they have some work to do to get forward today.
They sure do, as is Kyle Kirkwood, you just saw going off your screen. Their teammate Linus Lundqvist down there in row 10, the second of 5 rookies we have here. Graham Rahal and the RLL squad struggling. You see him there in row 11. His teammate Pietro Fittipaldi making his debut with the team down there on row 13. And Jack Harvey back with Dale Coyne Racing, starting shotgun on the field today.
All right, time to take a look at the Honda track preview. It may only be 1.8 miles, but it sure is action-packed.
Yeah, we get to ride on board here with Linus Lundqvist, the rookie, with a great opportunity. But look at that track map on the right. This place is special, and I think mainly that 1.8-mile, very short street circuit with 27 cars. How they get through turn 1, 2, and 3, that's the story. It took out 7 cars last year.
Passing opportunities in turn 1, turn 4, and turn 10, but the most important corner on this racetrack from inside the car is coming off of turn 14. You need a good run to be able to defend. That's the corner Linus is coming off right now. You need a good run to defend from cars behind and also to attack into turn 1, which is the best passing opportunity on the racetrack.
So you've seen the Honda track preview, the Firestone starting grid. This is the official pace car of the Grand Prix of St. Pete. It's the 2024 Honda Civic Type R that is leading the field to green. Let's check in with Georgia on a late story. What's happening?
Christian Rasmussen's supposed to have his first NTT IndyCar Series start. He had clutch issues on the beginning from the team, so they have it covered, and he's about to take off, but originally clutch issues with the 20.
A rather inauspicious start to this young man, this talented young man's IndyCar career. He has won on every step of the road to Indy ladder, and now he's in the big time in the NTT IndyCar Series. Look at that color, look at that contrast, and it is a grid packed full of talent and stories of just remarkable drivers from all over the world. Have a look at the crowd on the left there. Waterside, coming past the convention center. They know what this event has produced over the past 20 years, and it's just such a great way to kick off the IndyCar season. It gave us plenty of action last year. Massive pile-up on the opening lap. Dramas at the end of the race with Pato O'Ward, and Marcus Ericsson was there to grab the victory and see the checkered flag first. What are we going to have this year? So much to talk about, so much change with drivers changing teams, new drivers coming to the series, and an Indy 500 champ leading this field to green. For 2024, the NTT IndyCar Series is underway here in St. Pete. Newgarden leads the field, but watch that orange and black car. Pato O'Ward on the inside, couldn't quite get there.
Oh, but 4 wide further back with Romain Grosjean dropping back. There's contact with some of those green and black cars. That's Marcus Armstrong as well, and Rinus VeeKay comes out the lead of the 3 green and blacks.
This is where we had all the issues last year. The top of your screen, turn 3, it looks like it's all clear. We see Palou trying to go down the inside of, I think, Christian Lundgaard into turn 4. A little bit of contact there. Everybody getting through.
No, I think Lundgaard's got a flat right rear on the 45.
Will Power, Marcus Armstrong, Scott Dixon. Puncture is the call. Well spotted, T-Bell. This is the Hy-V Honda. Problems for Lundgaard. He's wounded.
Jamming up the back of the field here. They're all desperate to get by, but Lundgaard desperate to try to get to pit lane and see if he can stay on the lead lap.
Now Palou trying to defend from Alex Rossi behind Kyle Kirkwood. Callum Ilott in line there as we see all the cars trying to get around the wounded Hy-V Honda from Christian Lundgaard.
What a shame. Got his first IndyCar race win last year. The talented Danish driver up front though. Look at Felix Rosenqvist in that pink and white Auto Nation Sirius XM Bon Jovi radio car. He is trying to rock and roll around the streets of St. Pete and take the lead away from Newgarden.
Big coast phase there from Felix Rosenqvist. He is already starting to save a little bit of fuel, try to extend this first stint. But James, I love the fact that his softer Firestone green tires seem to have an advantage here in the earlier laps. Newgarden up ahead, the leader on the harder compound. Each car has to run both compounds during the race. Kevin, what's going on with Lundgaard?
He's coming in. They're hoping it's just a puncture. They asked, is there any damage? He said it happened in 4, and apparently not. So they release him immediately, so no other problem but half a lap down to start.
Look at this. Look at this. Pressure early. Felix Rosenqvist makes the switch from Arrow McLaren to Meyershank Racing, and he is loving his new life.
Yeah, he really is. He's taken to this new car, this new setup like a duck to water. The lap time was there immediately from practice. And like you say, Townsend, you see those green sidewall on the tires. That's the softer compound. The black sidewall on Joseph's car, a little bit harder, not as quick, but hopefully more durable over a stint. So Felix, if he wants to pass, he needs to attack early.
And just behind Felix Rosenqvist, young American Charger Colton Herta there in the Andretti Global number 26. He is also, as we ride on board here with Colton, he is also on the softer Firestone compound, and he shares setup, feedback, and teamwork with the sister program at Meyershank, where Felix Rosenqvist drives.
O'Ward is behind him, Ericsson 5, McLaughlin 6. And check this out. Watch the start of the race and look for the white and red car on the inside, Scott McLaughlin, and look how forceful he was, ready to go at the drop of the green. Watch him come to the inside.
Now he pops out, and just ahead of him, watch the green and orange car of Romain Grosjean. Very conservative on the brakes. Everybody jumps on Grosjean. He falls back, and Scott Dixon has to avoid the apex curve to miss contact.
Guys, I got to tell you, breaking even one car onto the inside in an IndyCar here into turn 1 is tough. It's tricky. Scott McLaughlin was about 4 car widths right of where you normally are, but he made the car stop. He made it work. A little bit of contact, but no harm, no foul. Just good, hard racing.
Hey,
Look at that
watching Newgarden swerve on the front straightaway reminded me of something last May. The Dragon, the big snake at Indianapolis when Newgarden won. He didn't want any trouble going into that first corner, and I wonder where Lundgaard might have been clipped. Oftentimes it's one of those sharp end fences on the front wing that can damage the rear tire.
Check this out, guys. Watch the hands on McLaughlin, or how quickly he's going to have to react here. He ducks out, but then he gets a little sideways. Watch the hands here. He's going to catch it in the middle of the corner hinge.
Yeah, when you hit that white paint, there's no rubber on there. No cars are driving down there all weekend long. He gets into the side of Rinus VK there. Good job from the young Dutchman to keep the car going. Here's from Lundgaard now. On the outside, he's going to see Rinus come wide here. He gets pushed a bit wide. You see Dixon trying to merge back in. It's chaos, but they all make it through. So now you see he's gone driver's right to defend against Palou. Palou tries to sneak it up the inside.
Oh,
there's the contact.
Who got him? Who got him?
It was Alex Palou, and if you remember last year, a car had a tire cut down in the exact same place, and a penalty was assessed to the car that hit them for avoidable contact. So
we'll
potential.
keep an eye on race control there. It depends, though. They see that Lundgaard was defending quite aggressively. Sometimes they'll let that slide.
Joseph Newgarden in the PPG Chevy leads past this beautiful scene, past the marina, over Felix Rosenqvist, and then 2.8 seconds behind the race leader is Colton Herta in the Gainbridge Honda. That's the final sequence of turns there, coming onto the runway here at the Albert Whitted Airport, all the way down, one of 2 runways at this facility, and into turn 1, hard braking zone across those painted white lines. And this circuit has so many blind turns throughout the concrete, twists and turns. Let's ride with Scott McLaughlin, have a listen, take a look.
Telling everybody to save here. That's what we need to do.
Newgarden in control and enjoying his time out on the track. You know who else enjoyed his time out on the track? The man behind the name on this car. This is the Bon Jovi radio car. I'm really pleased to say that joining us now is the man behind that band, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, John Bon Jovi. John, I will unashamedly say you're my wife's hall pass, but we'll move past that and say welcome to IndyCar. And how was the ride in the two-seater with Helio Castroneves?
Unbelievable. I really wanted to stay in the car. I think that we could have won the race. Traffic downtown here is getting a little busy, folks, so be careful when you're coming downtown. But this was a blast. Thank you. And you're welcome for your wife's hall pass.
Hey, John, it's Townsend. Great to see you smiling after that lap with Helio. There's a rumor, I need you to confirm this. Is this St. Pete where Tommy used to work on the docks?
That's a low blow, but we'll go with you. We'll go with you on that. A little music humor.
All right.
But, you know, this was a chance of a lifetime, and Helio was an incredible driver. I got to be a backseat driver, and I didn't complain once.
How do you describe what it felt like to somebody that hasn't been in a race car, or an Indy car for that matter?
You know, it was crazy. It's every little kid plays video games. Old guys got to live it for real, and I truly just wish I could do it again. That's how much fun it was.
John, everybody wants to be a rock star, and we quite often get told that rock stars want to be race car drivers. Have you ever had this passion?
I like the suit. Let's start there. I look good in this suit.
Yes, you do.
And hey, you're used to being in unbelievable atmospheres and scenes. What do you make of St. Pete and the Firestone Grand Prix?
The vibe here is incredible. All the people, local law enforcement, all the officials that put this event on for the last 20 years, the fans in the stands, the young drivers that I've met. It's a great experience for anybody who wants to come out and see a great Indy race.
Hey, by the way, pretty cool driving suit there.
Yeah.
Nice custom suit, looking good.
Yeah.
Feeling good. Helio took you for the ride of your life. Hey, SiriusXM and Meyer Shank Racing have done so much for the sport. They're bringing people like you along to IndyCar. We can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and good luck, Felix. Let's go.
All right, there he is, John Bon Jovi, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, rock and roll icon, and now a massive IndyCar fan. Awesome stuff as we continue, and the Bon Jovi car is chasing. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Firestone Tires for redefining limits, and by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. How gorgeous is that? What a beautiful day, what an amazing setting. Couldn't ask for any more, and there's now 2 decades of history here on the streets of St. Petersburg, hosting the NTT IndyCar Series and seeing superstars like this guy, the Indy 500 winner, 2-time series champion, and by the way, 2-time winner here at St. Pete, Joseph Newgarden in the PPG Chevy. Hench, you're a winner here. Joseph has done it twice, and on those 2 occasions, they were the only other 2 times that he's led. This is the 3rd. Is that an omen?
It's certainly a good sign if you're Joseph Newgarden. He's pulling away a little bit now from Felix Rosenqvist. It's almost like those alternate tires on the 60 of Felix starting to wear a little bit more. These primaries are really hanging on quite well.
I wonder what kind of information they're giving Joseph Newgarden right now, because it looks like he's saving some.
I think we can get that extra lap. I think what these guys are trying to do is the same.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to get a fuel number to get an extra lap on this stint. Let's learn a little bit more from pit lane with Marty Snyder. Well, Townsend, I found his pre-race comments a little interesting when he said, "I'm learning to love my job again." Yes, he won the Indy 500 last year, but 2023 was a rough year on Joseph Newgarden with everything that happened off track and all the distractions off track. So to that point, he was determined this year that he was going to get rid of all distractions. Number 1, social media. Earlier this week, he said, quote, "I have a love-hate relationship with social media." So in January, he unfollowed everybody. He told me that is simply to say all of my focus is either on my family or my work. That's what he's really focused on in 2024, Georgia.
Right behind Newgarden sits Felix Rosenqvist. He started second. He rides in that second spot, but there is no sweat coming out of the 60 pit. They're telling him you're doing good on fuel numbers and there's no pressure, and no pressure is exactly what he's feeling. He told me he feels more calm, less pressured, and more in harmony with the series and his team than he ever has before this year, and that's going to be crucial to their success this weekend in his first start with Meyer Shank Racing. Kevin?
Georgia, Graham Rahal won as a teenager here in 2008, but it's going to be really tough today. Now, right now, he's in 20th, and he got to 6th from that spot last year, but they've been having braking issues, and it's really not the brakes. He said it's not accepting the downshift. They thought maybe changing the steering wheel this morning would work. It did not. It's electronic. He's just going to have to deal with it today.
Oh, boy. That's going to be a long day if that continues. So, in Marty's report, he mentioned that Joseph Newgarden was pretty fired up yesterday. If you weren't with us for qualifying, you know, you've won the series twice. You're an Indy 500 winner now. You might think that just another pole position, which was number 17, doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's a bigger story. It's a bigger picture than that, and emotion plays so much of this sport. Watch this. He's talking to his engineer, Luke Mason, and he is jacked. This is just the beginning of it. It intensifies even more as he come down pit lane. And Townsend, he told us pre-race, he said, the emotions got the better of me. Look at this.
Yeah,
he was fired up.
Pointing to Luke Mason, sort of like, I told you, I believed in you, we could do this. But I think that's the deal with Joseph Newgarden. This guy is such a fierce competitor. If he's not on pole, he is utterly disgusted. He oftentimes storms away from the timing stand, but when he gets on pole, it's a huge celebration. I just wonder what kind of Newgarden are we going to see down the stretch if potentially that win is in his grasp on lap 95, 98. Can he keep his emotions in check, Marty? He wants to win here so bad to start the season.
And Townsend, keep in mind, he had 0 poles in 2023. And I think also, you know this, Townsend, that one was a little unexpected. I mean, he barely made the Firestone Fast 6. And then to put it on pole, that really showed him, hey, I can extract more out of the car, and my team can also deliver as well.
I wonder if that's just the magic of Tim Cindric realizing that maybe the less information he gives his driver in qualifying, the more calm he'll be and just drive, rather than give you all of the corner-by-corner lap time updates. James, what do you think?
I think
is that going to help Newgarden? I know he wants the info, but maybe the kid just needs to drive.
He's an info guy. He's a student of this sport. He studies every bit of data that he can get his hands on. And I think, Townsend, more than anything, as Marty mentioned, 0 poles last year. That was something that Joseph said he needed to work on for 2024. He needed to improve. And to get to the first race of the season and immediately deliver on that, that tells you as an athlete, hey, I've done my job in the offseason. The work I put in is paying off. We're already better on Saturdays.
All right, here's a new color scheme and a new number that you've got to get used to. It's number 28 for Andretti Global in the Delaware Life livery. Wait for it, here he comes. It's Marcus Ericsson, the Indy 500 winner, former F1 driver, the Swede who has now found his natural home in the NTT IndyCar Series, has found a new home going away from Ganassi to Andretti. He loves it. Feels kind of like he's brought a sense of calm to the team in a way. He's such a chilled guy, so relaxed, not so much in the cockpit. He drives with a lot of determination, but get used to this color scheme and this guy in a new surround. He was the winner of the Firestone Grand Prix a year ago, and he seems to just get better and better in IndyCar with every year that goes by, Kevin Lee.
And he's loving the opportunity to take more of a leadership role. He had no issues working with Scott Dixon and the rest of the Ganassi team. He also wanted to kind of be respected for what he's been able to do on the track and be a paid driver, not required to bring some budget. He expected to take a little bit longer to get up to speed here. It was a rough start to the weekend in some ways, kind of came to life in qualifying, and he's racing with an opportunity to score some good points to start the championship.
All right, we're on board with Ericsson. Let's take a look at some Firestone telemetry and enjoy the ride. Take a look at those numbers.
When you watch this on board, just when we get to the end of the straightaway, listen to the engine on Marcus Ericsson's car here. Just give it a listen here. You hear that big liftoff before he hits the brake. Everybody right now is in fuel save mode, Townsend. That's how a driver can save fuel from behind the wheel into these long straightaways, in these brake zones. You lift off the throttle a little bit early, you coast for a phase, and then hit the brakes. It's such a talent to be able to do that and save fuel while maintaining a competitive lap time. And this is all to get that extra lap.
The reason they do that is to potentially get that extra lap, or if a yellow comes out early and you're in the pit window, it's less fuel that you need to onboard the race car while you're on pit lane, thereby shortening up the time you're sitting in your pit box. I think Ericsson is going to be off to another great start this season points-wise. He's got the maturity, he has the success already, he's got a great race team now with Andretti Global. The difference is what happens in the second half of the year. It's a bit of a fade for Ericsson as a contender last year. I think he needs to start strong and consistent, but then really lean in with some aggressive driving mid to end season and not really play defense like he did last season. Michael Andretti, the team owner, looks on. I talked to Michael on the grid this morning. He is really pleased with his decision as an owner to consolidate his team from 4 to 3 cars, a tighter focus. They really like where they sit right now from a chemistry standpoint.
And has enjoyed a lot of success here on these streets as a team owner. Can anybody catch this guy? Folks, if you grab your mobile device and scan the QR code on your screen, just on the right there to enter, it's your chance to drive away with a new Corvette, courtesy of Hy-Vee, and it goes all season long. Enter for a chance to win one of 3. That's right, 3 Corvettes up for grabs this year. It was hugely successful last year, and you can get amongst it again. Scan the QR code, and good luck. Welcome back to St. Pete, folks. This is the Firestone Grand Prix. It's the season opener for the NTT IndyCar Series. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe with you, Marty Snyder, Georgia Henneberry, Kevin Lee. We're enjoying a Sunday afternoon in the sun, and so too is Joseph Newgarden, who has led all 21, make it 22 laps thus far.
So 2 different tire compounds like we talked about with the first 2 cars. Newgarden on the harder tire. Question is, how is the pace between those 2 compounds? Here is Felix Rosenqvist on the softer, the Firestone greens, the Waiuli compound. Here you take a look, thanks to NTT, the last 3 lap times between the top 2 runners. Not much to choose between the 2 cars. We know they're in fuel save, but the pace seems consistent. Let's go down to pit lane with Georgia.
Felix Rosenqvist giving some information about those around him from his team. We have the radio. Let's listen in.
Newgarden starting to complain about the blacks a little bit. So just keep doing what you're doing. Be smart with that left front.
Yeah, a bit of help blocking power out of the corner.
I've also gotten word Rosenqvist will be coming in around lap 33. Marty, over to you.
George, I'm not sure how much truth was in that radio conversation to Felix Rosenqvist, because yes, Tim Cindric did ask Joseph Newgarden how those primaries are hanging in, and Joseph Newgarden said the car is not falling off at all. He's also saving a little bit of fuel. So, Hinch, I mean, the timing stand would never lie to a driver, would they, to motivate their driver a little bit, saying, hey, I know you're struggling, but everybody else is around you is as well, even though it might not be true.
Look, you're 50% strategist, 50% coach when you're on the end of a timing stand there talking to your driver. You want to give him the information you know he needs to get the best. If he thinks Joseph's struggling a little bit, it might light the fire under Felix.
I would wedge at least a 30% therapist in there, and
yeah.
I think we're seeing a new approach this season from Tim Cindric, which is potentially, like I said, a little less info. Don't overwhelm. Don't let Newgarden get in his own head with too much data. The guy's fast enough. All he needs to do is drive. He's got clean air at the front. But how about this car, Diff? The 77 Romain Grosjean, solid in his debut.
Yeah, there's 2 black and green cars there, but 2 different teams. This is the Ask ROI car of Rinus VK ahead. This one here, 23-year-old Dutch driver in his 5th season of IndyCar now for Ed Carpenter Racing, being chased down by the former F1 star Romain Grosjean, who was on the pole here last year and almost won, had an amazing race with Scott McLaughlin, pardon me, that ended up in the tyre barrier. He has changed teams. He's gone from Andretti Global to Hunko's Hollinger Racing, from Honda Power to Chevrolet Power, and boy, just stunned the field yesterday in qualifying here. She did a nice job.
It was very, very impressive. This team struggled here on the streets of St. Pete in qualifying last few years, and Grosjean, he knows how to get around here. We've seen that, but to pull this team up there was very impressive.
Yeah, I talked about the team. I talked to Brad Hollinger, the team owner, along with Ricardo Juncos this morning. He is so thrilled. He said, you know, we're not really coming anymore. We're here. It's like a conversation with Deion Sanders. They are believers. They know they belong at the front, and Grosjean is delivering right away.
And Romain is having just a fascinating several weeks. 2 weeks ago, he went to Bahrain for the Grand Prix season opener, the Formula One season opener. And you remember, of course, that's where he was in the middle of that huge fireball that ended his Formula One career. He's here racing his IndyCar. Next week, he'll be at the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring for the debut of the Lamborghini hybrid prototype. That's exciting stuff, and just goes to show, you know, a lot of people kind of have the general perception when you may not be in Formula One, that's the end of your career. It could not be any further from the truth for Grosjean. His career has just blossomed in multiple areas, and he's been so busy since leaving Formula One, having a lot of fun. He lives here in the state of Florida with his wife and 3 kids, and he's off to a promising start with his new team for 2024, chasing down Rinus VeeKay, who has been incredibly quick and consistent this weekend. There's your top 5. We'll be back in a moment. Under caution for the first time on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, unfortunately. It is for the 23-year-old New Zealander, Marcus Armstrong, in the Ridgeline Lubricants Honda. This is what happened. Watch the green car.
Turn 10, just a little hot on the brakes, locks the left front. He thinks about trying to maybe take the overshoot, and he's like, I can make the corner, and he just runs out of room. New this year is the conveyor belt wrap on those tires. It did a good job producing a glancing blow for Armstrong, but unfortunately that contact is too much. It chews up the right front, and then the banner has a wallop.
And then that orange and blue car right behind him, Scott Dixon, his teammate, you said it off the top of the show, so good at avoiding calamity, avoiding chaos. We saw it in turn 1 going inside of that curb. We saw it here, very heads-up driving from Dixon.
Armstrong is one of 3 New Zealanders in the IndyCar field for 2024, as was the case last year. He's a super talented young driver, but it's not his day. Weekend was looking really good, by the way, in practice and qualifying, but he was a bit frustrated with the qualifying performance in the end. But this guy who is actually beginning his first full season, remember he raced last year, but that was only on the streets and road courses. He's going to do everything this year, including the ovals, both short and big. The Indy 500, Milwaukee Mile, the Hy-Vee doubleheader at Iowa, all of the ovals for Marcus Armstrong this year.
So if the racing looked pretty tidy and strategic in the first 26 laps, hang on, because everybody about to come to pit lane, and this is when things get nuts. On a tight pit lane with 27 cars, they're all thinking right now, my best chance to make moves is going to be on pit lane, and there you see the crews are ready.
And you think about racing sometimes as an individual sport, one driver in the car, but that shot right there proves why this is such a team effort. Any single one of these team members going over the wall doesn't nail their job in this moment under caution, it can cost you so many positions on track.
And for 6 months, these crews have been practicing for exactly this moment. Who's got the fastest guns?
And this is it. This is the essence of teamwork right here. Yes, the drivers are in the spotlight and they get all the adulation and the recognition, but this is what it's about, Georgia. Teamwork on the line right here, right now.
As pit lane opens, Felix Rosenqvist is going to make his way to his pit box. He feels like he can't get speed out of the corners right now, but nonetheless, they're going from those Waiuli greens to those black tires. They're going to fill it up with fuel, and at that field, sits down and away, Kevin.
For Colton Herta and Andretti Global, the message has been execution. They've had plenty of pace, especially on road and street circuits. He's satisfied the obligation for the alternates. He's on the primaries, Marty.
Boy, Kevin, this is really going to change the strategy. The lead teams wanted to go about 5 more laps, almost a collision there on pit road, and Joseph Newgarden, who has led every lap to this point, will lose the lead here on pit road. I believe that's Colton Herta that came off with a diff.
Indeed, Colton Herta with the move on Rosenqvist at the pit exit speed cone. Newgarden, something went wrong. He went a little long stopping, and then the fuel seemed to take a little bit longer as well. That creates a huge opportunity for Felix Rosenqvist in the number 60. It looks like Christian Lundgaard stayed out on track to try to get back on the lead lap. He did indeed, so the 45 behind the pace car now, but some pretty neat stuff at the front. Let's take another look here.
This is how it went down. Watch the blue and white car. Wait for it. Here comes Herta and Rosenqvist. Look at that. The race off pit road, and Fro wins it. Coming to green to end this first caution period in the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. Now, as you watch the blue and white car, look at the one in the middle, Colton Herta, but Felix Rosenqvist on the right is ahead. Watch the line out. Rosenqvist wins it, even though Herta goes ahead, but it's addressed once they get back out on track. So Fro, as he's affectionately known, Felix Rosenqvist, in that Bon Jovi Radio Sirius XM Auto Nation Honda for Meyer Shank Racing, is out in front. That is the driver who got wounded on the first lap, his rear tire. Christian Lundgaard in the Hy-Vee Honda at the front there. playing the big catch-up game after that altercation on the opening lap. We're back racing here in St. Pete.
So this will be interesting because Lundgaard probably can hang on here for maybe 4 or 5 laps before he has to make his pit. He'll try to stretch as long as he can as Rinus VeeKay goes inside.
Scott Dixon.
Dixon, once again, those are the kind of decisions that Scott Dixon makes to survive the street circuits.
But it also just shows the Ganassi car struggling a bit as Newgarden makes the move on Colton Herta, takes that position back that he lost in pit lane. Very decisive on those softer tires now. Colton has switched to the black sidewall primary tires, and you saw that grip advantage right there.
Yeah, orange and black is Pato O'Ward, then McLaughlin.
Easier to heat up the softer tire after a pit stop under yellow. And look at the back end of all these cars as they exit turn 7, trying to
Here we go. O'Ward on the inside of Herta.
Again, the tire advantage, and now McLaughlin taking advantage of a slow exit from Colton.
They are pouncing right now on Colton Herta. He cannot get tire temperature anywhere near as quickly as the Firestone green shod cars.
And Newgarden says, all right, you came after me, Rosenquist, now I'm coming after you. This is the Gainbridge Honda of Herta. Have a listen.
VeeKay making moves again on Will Power, and I don't think Will Power is going to give up here. He doesn't.
That's going to make for an interesting run down to turn 4, though. Nose to tail through turn 3 on the push to pass. No doubt as Newgarden now trying.
Whoa, and that tire bundle to the left there has been adjusted since last year. It's now wrapped in conveyor belt. There's a little bit of extra space there too on the exit. And I'm not sure they quite needed it then, but that was a good attack from Joseph Newgarden on Rosenquist.
Newgarden's going to be feeling this straight away. Did he flat spot his right front tire by locking it up? I don't see a wicked vibration at the wheel. He dials back his fuel map and maybe tries to settle in here for a bit.
This is going to be a big fuel save stint. The engineers would have given their drivers 1, maybe 2 laps to push hard, make some advantages, make some gains, but now you've got to go back into conservation mode. Newgarden not able to get the pass done on Rosenquist there, but heads up to Rhodesy. He gave him room on the inside and avoided some potentially really bad contact.
Yeah, some high percentage decision making as Newgarden now is going to go at Rosenquist again inside turn 1.
Race lead.
Still there.
Well, effective race lead to Joseph Newgarden. Lundgaard is out in front at the moment, but Joseph Newgarden, who, by the way, won the Rolex 24 at Daytona this year. Here's Pato O'Ward on the inside of his old teammate. He gets Rosenquist as well.
Look at VeeKay making the move on the red and white black Verizon car here of Will Power. That's Rinus VeeKay in the green car up ahead. Power working his fuel map in between corners, in the corners.
Joseph Newgarden just making up for the time lost on pit lane there. Absolute attack. And now Scott McLaughlin lining up Rosenquist into 10. Doesn't quite have enough there. Felix really struggling on these primary tires.
And what you're seeing right now, Diff, is just different mentalities, as James pointed out on fuel. They pitted on lap 28. It's a 100-lap race. They want to make this in 2 stops. That means that these last 2 stints are long ones.
Yep.
You cannot put yourself in a situation where you're forced to make an extra stop for a splash of fuel at the end.
Here goes McLaughlin on Rosenquist, very straightforward, but Rosenquist's not going to play. He's going to make McLaughlin in that Dex Imaging Chevy work for it, and the back end steps out right in front of Colton Herta. Marcus Ericsson is in the mix there. Then VeeKay, Power, Dixon, Grosjean through to 11th.
And with all this passing going on, let's take a look at the push to pass. You have 150 seconds available to you. It gives you about a 50 horsepower boost to help execute a pass. Lundgaard still with lots. Newgarden's used a little bit there to get by Rosenquist, 125. O'Ward still with a lot, and you can see pretty conservative on that push to pass so far for everyone, because Townsend, when you use it, what does it do? Burns more fuel, and that's exactly what the engineers don't want out of their drivers right now. So I'd say that's an uncharacteristically high average of push to pass left, being already a third of the way into the race as we see Stingray Robb. AJ Foyt driver in the 41 there. I think that's down in turn 1.
See a little brake smoke in the right front wheel well as the steering wheel comes off the AJ Foyt entry. Stingray Robb is out and he'll walk away. I think he's looking for a fire extinguisher. What happened here?
Just looks like a little bit of rear lockup there on that white paint.
Almost looks like he lost
there's some kind of failure.
Potential.
Yeah, because that didn't slow down at all once he kind of turned out of it.
He's pointing to that right front because that sometimes what can happen, this happened to Christian Lundgaard on Friday, is a little piece of spent tire rubber can get jammed between the brake rotor and the brake rotor shield, which is carbon, and create a lot of temperature. The AMR safety team, as always, on the scene with the water bottle.
Stingray Rob, one of 12 significant changes this year as far as driver team combinations. It's been a very active off-season as far as switches and changes. And unfortunately, Stingray becomes the second retirement in this 27 driver field here on opening day for the NTT IndyCar Series 2024. We're off to a great start. Third race distance. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty. Hy-Vee. This racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach its goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. Welcome back to St. Pete, the Firestone Grand Prix. We check in with Kevin Lee. Kev, what you got?
Joseph Newgarden is back in front because Christian Lundgaard, who had to come in on the first lap because of a puncture, he went ahead and made his stop during this caution, so he cycles back to the end of the field, but he is on the lead lap and can fight a bit.
So we're waiting to come to green, one to go, and then we launch back into action here. A race that has been very much dominated by Joseph Newgarden, who's led 30 laps thus far. He's on the attack. Felix Rosenqvist off to a good start. Pato O'Ward has been sneaky quiet, just hanging around there.
So we've already had one restart. This will be the second. The difference here, Marty, is the tires were hot, and now they can pick up a lot of spent rubber. Last time they were cold, but they were clean. What do you can tell us about the slow pit stop, though, from Newgarden?
Well, and what happened on that pit stop, Townsend, and why he lost 2 spots here on pit road is because they had to double clutch the fuel when they plugged it in. I did confirm they did get the 2-car full, though, for Joseph Newgarden, who's led 30 laps to this point. This caution, though, Townsend, a massive help to everyone. As Kevin just pointed out, it would be a huge save to be able to make it just on 2 stops where the caution fell earlier and everyone pitted. But now, with this caution, should be able to let them race a little bit harder, and we all love that.
Understand there was an issue here for the 51 who did a top-up. That's Colin Brown, the Dale Coyne racing car, and that looks like quite a bit of excess fuel flowing onto the side pod in the right rear, but looks like Brown's still underway, and that has extinguished itself.
First IndyCar race, the sports car champion, he's been doing well. He's enjoying it up until that point. All right, second full course caution out of the way. Let's go racing. A couple of Chevy powered cars up front. Joseph Newgarden leads. Pato O'Ward back to green here down the runway at Albert Whitted Airport. Rosenqvist tucked in behind his old teammate. They're good friends too. Then the white and red Dex imaging machine. Scott McLaughlin ahead of Colton Herter. His teammate Marcus Ericsson, then Rinus VK. Here they come.
Hustling through that newly repaved turn 2 and 3, flat out or nearly flat out. They're nose to tail right now. I don't see anybody trying to duck out just yet, James, and make something happen on this restart.
Like you say, with a few laps from the pit stop, the tires are warmer than the last restart. Car's not sliding around quite as much as we see McLaughlin all crossed up coming off of turn 9 there, but everyone a little bit more in control, but Pato O'Ward not letting Joseph Newgarden get away. That black and orange McLaren lurking in the mirrors of the number 2.
Watch McLaughlin. Watch the white and red car. It's the 4th in shot. He is all over Rosenqvist. There it is right there. He's starting to hassle the Swedish driver. Let's go for a ride. Will he make a move down into turn 1?
You probably heard a little stutter there, either shifting up a little too late and getting on the rev limiter, or potentially a little overboost penalty perhaps coming in with the motor. It reminds me a bit of what happened to that orange and black car, Pato O'Ward, last year. You talk about a guy that wants to win, that feel he's owed a win here in St. Pete. Pato O'Ward on his way last year, had a plenum fire in almost exactly the same situation. It cut horsepower, he got past, and of course Marcus Ericsson went on to take the win. But O'Ward looking just as fast this year.
O'Ward has had 4 starts here. Twice he's finished second. He's tired of that. He wants the victory. He went winless last year, Marty, which was kind of not on his bingo card. That's not when you're as fast and as dynamic and as exciting as this guy here, the team leader at Arrow McLaren. You need victories.
Diff, can I put it politely? He told me that was unacceptable on Friday, that they went winless last year. And Hinch, we had a very interesting conversation about what he wanted out of the team in the offseason. He said, it's pretty simple. Give me a car that's more drivable, that's ride, that's compliance, that's everything. When I need to get top 5 lap times, I have to drive 100%. Ganassi and Penske teams, when those drivers need top 5 lap times, they're at 90%. There's no more 10% for me to go find. So can you understand what he is talking about, Pat O'Ward, Hinch, when he's saying, hey, give me a car that's more drivable, I can get more time out of it?
Yeah, I mean, every driver going to want a car that's a little bit more drivable. It's an easy thing to ask the engineer, tough thing to do, but basically, when the window of pace is so narrow, you have to drive on such the ragged edge to find that lap time. If you can open that performance window in the setup up a little bit, it gives you that 2 or 3% buffer, and you don't have to be on the edge at all times, which means you reduce the chance of making mistakes.
The other thing Pato O'Ward wanted in the offseason, a whole bunch more money. You saw that arrow on board, said 5 years out. Well, they've signed him about 5 years out, rumored to be $4.5, maybe $5 million a year for the next several seasons. So Pato O'Ward now up in the top 3 or 4 of the highest compensated pilots in this field, and he is demonstrating why.
And well thought of by Zach Brown, the CEO, the head of McLaren Racing worldwide. So, getting our teeth into this race now, very much so approaching the halfway mark of the 100 laps of the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. A little further back, Alexander Rossi is now knocking on the door of the top 10. Alex Palou, the champ, he's in 12. Let's take you back to a replay just a few moments ago. Check this out. Graham Rahal on the inside of Tom Blomqvist.
All looks pretty straightforward. Little bit of rubbing left front to right side pod, and James, that's something we're going to see all day long here at St. Pete.
That's what I love about turn 1 here is you can just roll around the outside. You don't have to just give it up if somebody gets the inside line on you. A great job from Blomqvist getting his elbows out.
The payoff is there for staying too wide. Not a lot of racetracks are you rewarded. Here at St. Pete, the next corner is for your advantage. If you can stay wide to the outside in 1, you have the apex for the left-hander in 2.
Graham Rahal is as busy out of the car as he is in. His business away continues to grow this year, something different. This weekend, he's a team owner in Moto America, in the motorcycle, the road racing competition. So while he's focusing on his own career, he's looking at others, at those who ride for him, and he's engaged World Superbike champion and former MotoGP rider Ben Spies as that team manager. Pretty cool stuff, and it's an exciting year for Graham. Let's check in with Georgia.
Marcus Armstrong has been checked and cleared from the IndyCar medical unit. We're going to have a replay right here. Can you walk us through the incident and what happened?
Yeah, to be honest, we weren't really pushing at this stage of the race, and a big fuel save number, and I just hit the brake and just locked the rear immediately. I felt like I had braked at the same spot as the previous 20-odd laps, but I'm so disappointed by that mistake, and I feel terrible for the number 11 Chip Ganassi Racing Ridgeline Lubricants Group, because we were fast, and to be fair, we weren't pushing at the time. We were just sort of fuel saving, waiting for our time to push. So yeah, a costly mistake, and it stings, to be honest.
Thanks, Marcus.
James, we've seen some brake issues all weekend. I can't help but look at this racetrack about half distance now, and all the spent Firestone rubber that is piling up just offline. I know on Friday there was an issue with just that little tiny piece getting into a brake duct and causing a problem. Is it possible for Armstrong that there was an anomaly like that? Because he seemed really surprised.
It is possible, certainly. You see here on your screen, we call them the marbles. It's like you say, that spent rubber that comes off the tire. It is like driving on ice if you get out of the groove and onto that part of it. And you know, I feel for Marcus Armstrong in this, because if you're pushing 10/10ths and you make a mistake, you say, okay, I know where it came from. When you're driving around to a number, you're not sure what really caused that problem. He's going to be poring over data, looking at video, trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of racetracks, we talk about the marbles, and it's really more of a dust. Sometimes it's a marble. Those shots right now, Diff, we're talking gummy worms out there.
Oh, yeah. Here's Callum Ilott, the NTT data on board. The British driver is back in IndyCar after a couple of seasons with Juncos Hollinger, did not have a full-time ride to go to this year. He's gone to the world of sports cars in the World Endurance Championship and finished on the podium in the Middle East last weekend. He's filling in for the injured and the new driver at Arrow McLaren, David Malukas, who had a mountain biking accident and injured some ligaments in his left wrist. So David's on the comeback. Callum Eilert is the super sub, and he's doing a nice job, Hinch.
It really is. I mean, to jump in with only 1 day testing with this team, hadn't been in the car since the end of last season when he parted ways with JHR. So very respectable job right now, running 16th. And again, like everyone, he's driving to a number. He's just following a plan at the moment. So respectable job for sure for the last-minute call-up.
Kevin, what's happening?
Well, we saw Rinus VeeKay get by Scott Dixon before that caution. Then he got Will Power as well. This is a new Rinus VeeKay. He's a veteran in his 5th year. He's now the senior member of this team until he gets to ovals with Ed Carpenter. And he's also now a married man in the offseason. Last October, he and Carmen got married back home in the Netherlands. And Carmen has a really interesting background. She was a kickboxer and then a regular boxer. And they do some training together, but Rinus always says, no, I'm not going to do any sparring with Carmen. That might not go well for me. She's not boxing professionally at this point, just using it for training because she's also a model. And she said, you know what, it may not be really good for my modeling future to keep getting punched in the face. And I think maybe modeling is a better venture as well.
Don't let Becky Hinch get a shot of that boxing. And, James, that looks wicked. You want to come home to that?
I'm worried, man. I'm worried. Yeah, that's she looks fierce, man. If I'm Rinus, I'm putting the toilet seat down. I'm making the bed. I'm doing everything I need to do to make sure she never has a reason to be angry.
Well, I tell you what, whether it's being married, whether it's getting a new teammate, whatever it is, Rinus VeeKay has turned over a new leaf this season. This youngster, yes, Kevin called him a veteran, but he's still only 23, and he seems like a new guy this year. Very consistent, very quick. Spoke to team principal Ed Carpenter this morning. He's pleased with VeeKay's performance so far at this season opener. He runs in a solid 7th, and he's been around that 5, 6, 7 position all weekend long, whether it's been practice or qualifying. Nobody can catch at the moment this guy. The pole winner, the Indy 500 champ, Joseph Newgarden. He's led 39 laps so far. AutoNation Mobile Service brings their pit crew to you with expert technicians performing over 200 repair and maintenance services wherever you are. And if you scan that QR code now, you can schedule your visit. That's AutoNation Mobile Service. As we welcome you back to the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete, riding aboard the AutoNation Mobile Service Honda for Andretti Global. This is Kyle Kirkwood. He won twice last year in his first year with Andretti, 2nd year in the series. So this is year number 3. What will it yield for the Floridian? He sits in 13th place at the moment.
Yeah, he had a great weekend going, but then made a small mistake that caused big damage to the right rear of his race car in practice 2 Saturday morning just before qualifying. That set him back a little bit. So started further back than he seemed capable of on pace and working his way forward. But like everybody right now, saving that precious fuel so he can press at the end.
Halfway in this Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. Let's take you for a ride through the field. Kick it off with Marty Snyder.
And we'll kick it off with the guy who's led 43 laps to this point, Joseph Newgarden. One of the big goals for Team Penske in the offseason was to get better at road and street courses, but especially on the street courses. Joseph Newgarden told me earlier this week, not only did Chevrolet deliver, our team delivered as well. So far, the pole and up front right now. Pat O'Ward sitting in the 2nd position. He has finished 2nd twice here in his 4 runs at St. Pete. A road course or a street course that he loves. He always loves these physical tracks, showing him keep it up front today, Georgia.
Absolutely, and as we talk about the offseason, let's talk about Felix Rosenqvist. He's also a driver in the field that got engaged over the offseason. So while he was trying to better himself in and out of the car, he also made that commitment with longtime girlfriend Emily. So congratulations to Felix and Emily. Right now, the team just telling him, keep doing what you're doing, you're hitting your marks, and good on fuel. Marty.
In a sneaky 4th position, Scott McLaughlin, who has worked his way up from starting 9th earlier today, told me earlier this week he's in the best shape of his life. He hired Julia Piquet, daughter of Brazilian Formula One legend Nelson Piquet and fiance of NASCAR driver Daniel Suarez. He said, she has totally changed my eating habits, my workout habits. He said, I've never felt better behind the wheel of a race car. Kevin?
Colton Herta running in 5th. He's on the primary harder compound stand of Firestone, so he can go a little bit longer. And check out the onboard there. That signature is Caitlin Clark, one of the hottest superstar athletes we've seen a lot on Peacock this year for the University of Iowa. She has signed a marketing deal with Cambridge. She's probably going to be playing in Indiana next year with the Indiana Fever. Meanwhile, right behind is Rinus VeeKay. We talked about his maturity. One of the reasons is because he spent a lot of time with Ryan Hunter-Reay in the second half of the season last year, and Rinus says it really helped my approach, learning how to study and what it takes to be a top-level race car driver, Marty.
Kevin, it's hard to believe that Will Power is in the longest winless streak of his entire career at 28 races. He told me that absolutely made him mad that his team did not win last year. He also admitted, I was unprepared going into the season. This year, I'm in much better of a mindset to race. Kevin?
So Marcus Ericsson just started losing positions and has come in here. No idea what the issue is at, running down, try to see what the problem is, but they have shut off the car, it looks like. So a problem for Marcus Ericsson, the winner last year. And they've taken the engine cowling off.
Oh, boy. For the man who won here last year, won the Indy 500 2 years ago, his first run with Andretti Global. And it's not going to result in defense of that victory.
Watch
here
this.
He is
Watch Marcus Ericsson, a wounded race car. He's outside, unfortunately, on the wrong side of the track, and he's desperately going to try to get across to pit lane. That is some dicey stuff as you're looking in those tiny side pod mounted rear view mirrors.
Not the way that the Swedish driver had expected his season opener to go. All right, we're into the second half of this one. You may have noticed, too, that Colin Brown went down the runoff. So in his maiden IndyCar race, who else is new to this? Linus Lundqvist begins his first full-time season for Chip Ganassi Racing. He's out there. Check this out.
Here's Colin Brown, very similar to Marcus Armstrong, a little twitch at the back of the race car in turn 10 on the brakes. In this case, Colin Brown making the high percentage decision to take the overshoot.
Yeah, we noticed some of that this morning in warm-up. Felix Rosenqvist found himself down in that runoff a couple of times with a very similar looking.
It seems like there's some braking surprises this weekend. Like drivers are ending up in situations where they are consistently deploying the brake pedal, similar point, similar pressure, and they're getting surprises behind the wheel. And that's tough on a street circuit because this place is so unforgiving.
So you hear Scott McLaughlin there still hitting that fuel save number. He's on those primary tires. The two cars in front on the alternates. Everybody in the top 10 except Scott McLaughlin and Will Power have met their mandatory tire obligations of running each set now. As we go on board with the Firestone telemetry is Scott McLaughlin chasing down Pato O'Ward.
And
you hear that coast face still from McLaughlin, and here's the thing. With everybody in a fuel save mode to start these first two stints, I don't think the teams or the drivers really know which tire they're going to want for the finish because they haven't pressed 10/10ths. You just don't know what you got if you haven't felt it there yet.
But remember, Scott McLaughlin and Will Power, they don't have a choice.
They have to go.
They have to go
but
to
for
the
other
alternates.
24 drivers, they have some guessing to do.
And to keep track of it, on the side of your pylon there, on the right-hand side of the pylon, you see the little triangle, they're green or black. That's telling you which tire the drivers are on at the moment, so you can keep track of who's on what. But again, both the 12 and the 3 still have to go to those green sidewall
and a lot of it is going to be based on when they decide to make their last stop. Are they going to gamble and pit on the earlier side and potentially have to save some fuel to the end to make it? Or will they pit at a window that allows them to push 100% on pace?
so this guy here, we're just showing you some important figures on the Firestone telemetry. Scott McLaughlin, who we ride with, has shed, further to Marty's report earlier, he's shed some 16 pounds to get ready from the off-season to now to get ready for this Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. He sits in a solid 4th at the moment behind Felix Rosenqvist. Dramas here for Scott Dixon. Look at the PNC Bank Honda, third car in shot. This is coming down into turn 10 over on the backside of the circuit. Whoa, locks it
boy.
up. Remember, this is where his teammate came to grief, right here.
Yep.
Smashed into that tire bundle there. Good save from Dixon.
And again, it's rear lockup into turn 10, and that looked pretty unexpected as look at the marbles growing now. They are everywhere.
If I'm Marcus Armstrong sitting, I mean, he's upset, obviously, but I'm going to feel a little bit better that other drivers are having this same issue, because it is just catching people out, coming out of nowhere. But if I'm an engineer on the stand right now, I'm telling all my drivers, hey, be conscious of rear lock into turn 10. Maybe crank that brake bias forwards a little bit. That's an adjustment these drivers can do from inside the cockpit. So you just got to stay on top of it as this race progresses.
Marty, what you got?
Well, so Hinch and Townsend keep telling me how physical of a racetrack this is, so I got some weights. Townsend wanted this to be a shake weight, but I'm doing regular weights. All right, Hinch, so walk me through all the turns here at St. Pete and how physical it is. I have 30 pounds of weight, 15 in each hand, so help me through this.
Okay, basically I need you to hold them out in front of you. I need you to twist them left and right 14 times. Okay, now just do that 99 more times while wearing a sweatsuit in a sauna. That's what it's like for, actually, wait, you said 15 in each hand? We need 5 more in each hand. It's about 20 pounds.
Gosh.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Linda, for supplying that.
I need that other one, Linda.
These Indy cars don't have power steering, Marty. They don't have They don't have
This
it.
is heavy.
It's very heavy, and that's
Yeah.
what these drivers are experiencing, because they don't have the assistance of power steering. Every bump, every corner, you got to feel.
And
what about
don't
the
forget,
G-forces on your head,
Hey,
Townsend,
Marty,
though?
what about the braking? Start squatting while you're doing that. Get down and start doing some leg presses. Oh, no, keep moving.
I feel like I'm a CrossFit.
Get your arms
Townsend,
back
come
out.
on.
Steer the car at the same time.
All right, very good. Yeah, I don't want to do this for 100 laps. I'm going to pass. I'll let you guys handle this.
Good visuals, though.
Grief.
Good visuals, Marty. Well done.
Somebody get that man a massage.
It looks so simple from the onboards here, but inside the cockpit, those G-forces are incredible on the driver's body. You talk about the neck, right? I mean, 3-4 G's under braking, trying to pull your head off your shoulders, 2 or 3 G's through the corners, and again, no power steering and a hot cockpit. It is a tough physical challenge.
Been a quiet day for Alexander Rossi, but you know what? He's methodically sneaking his way up towards the front. American Legion is dedicated to helping veterans through their toughest times by creating an outlet for vets to ask, to be the one to ask, pardon me, and listen and reach out and help. So ask if you're okay, if you need some help. Are you doing okay? Be the one to ask. And you can learn more at www.betheone.org. The American Legion doing amazing work, and there's a tremendous story from here, from this very race a year ago, where the Legion helped a veteran make the right decision.
Yeah, you know, really love the fact that Linus Lundqvist is making the right decision here on race day, his debut race for Chip Ganassi Racing, the number 8. Riding in 14th, but he's the top rookie. Hasn't made any mistakes. He seems well in control and saving himself and his race car from maybe a shootout at the back, and just finishing today without any major mistakes. That's a great debut for the young driver.
And everything you're saying, T-Bell, is exactly why he got this ride.
Yeah.
He did that on the streets of Nashville last year, filling in for the injured Simon Pagenaud. Ultimately, the race didn't finish the way he wanted. He had a late race crash. But all of those characteristics and character traits and qualities, Hinch, is what drew Chip Ganassi and Mike Hull to this youngster.
Yeah, it was obvious from that first run in Nashville that he had something special, and you know, he talks about not sure if his racing career was going to continue.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
gets this call up, goes to Nashville, again, something for the injured Simon Pagenaud, who we continue to wish well in his recovery, and just performs in a way that people paid attention.
Take a look at this replay. Willpower up inside Renus VK into turn 10. A nice clean move. Here's the onboard look from the Verizon car.
And again, this is primaries on alternates, Townsend, so maybe the alternate's starting to fall off a little bit.
I'll bet it might be more fuel related. I feel like VK was maybe burning a lot more fuel early, and it wouldn't surprise me if his team's saying, hey, dude, you got to chill. We need to save some gas here if we're going to make it to the end on one more stop.
I think this is Scott Dixon too on Renus VK down the runway, down the front straight here at Albert Whitted Airport. That was very straightforward for Dixon on the Dutch driver. So, and there's been contact between these two cars that have been together pretty much all race long. Just a side slap of wheels there between VK and Grosjean, with Alexander Rossi in the background getting a front row seat, and Rossi's still there. And here comes the champ. The bright yellow and red car is Alex Palou. Kind of the first time we've really seen much of the Spaniard today.
Yeah, not made as much progress as you would have maybe thought. Alex Palou started 13th, the first of the drivers to not make it into Q2 yesterday in qualifying, but just not the pace out of the Ganassi cars they really need to see.
Yeah, but if he's up on the seat now, maybe he's done enough hard work earlier in this stint to have the chance to be in fuel range and really lean in and start to push. 36 laps remaining, Marty. We're going to start to see pit stops real soon. As we do, here comes Rossi and Grosjean.
So Romain Grosjean coming down to make what he hopes is his final stop. He can get home the rest of the way, maybe a little bit of fuel save. Alexander Rossi further up pit road, also making his last stop. It looks like it is primaries for Grosjean. He releases first, and it's also going to be alternates. Alexander Rossi is going for the alternates. Can he beat out Grosjean? He will.
So now, if you're the 2, if you're the 5, the 60, the leaders, you have entered the danger zone.
Here he comes. He's out of it.
That's
not anymore.
That's forcing the hand of Joseph Newgarden, Marty.
Yeah, Hinch, we kind of knew this was going to be the play once someone pitted. That's why you saw the late move to pit road for those cars that just pitted a moment ago, and that brings the leaders and everybody else down pit road. Joseph Newgarden, no complaints about the car. Remember, they had the fueling issue on the last stop. This one looks much cleaner for him. Right in front of him, Pato O'Ward. There was a long debate on the 5 radio about whether to go with primaries or alternates. O'Ward has to hold just a minute for fuel, and also Scott McLaughlin, who finally comes in and puts on those alternate tires. You see the big wing adjustment as well. Also Felix Rosenquist leaving pit road, and others coming this lap, Diff.
So Newgarden cycles back out. He tucks in behind Alex Palou. And is this the run to home? He's there. There's Kyle Kirkwood, is the Auto Nation mobile service.
Newgarden's got to be careful. He's on cold tires. He's got a very aggressive Kyle Kirkwood. Newgarden doesn't want to lose much pace here, but he also cannot afford any contact with either Kirkwood or the wall while he tries to warm his Firestone.
But in these green flag stops, these cycles, the outlap is so important. You can't afford to make a mistake. Colton Herta went for the overcut by going a lap longer, Kevin. Let's see what the 26 crew can do in pit lane.
So last year the overcut was effective, meaning staying out longer to get some clean track. Herta had a lap of clean track. He was using overtake, the push to pass. He's going to go to primary Firestones for the last stint, and we're going to watch where he comes out in regards to Joseph Newgarden. The Gainsbridge car is away.
2021 winner, Colton Herta.
The line with McLaughlin and Rosenquist.
You can hear it in Rob Edwards' voice. It's going to be close. Here comes Colton Herta. He's at the pit speed line, up to speed.
He's got him. Look at this. Good work, good out. Remember, this is the hot spot from last year where McLaughlin and Romain Grosjean came together. Now Herta's got to get up to speed as quickly as he can, because here comes Fro and Scotty Mack. A reminder of last year. It was crazy time. Check this out. McLaughlin on the right, Grosjean in the DHL Honda. Cold tires versus hot. Grosjean feels he's got a shot. Scotty Mack says no, not just now. And this is how it ended. Boom.
Ended in tears, certainly. Both drivers going for the same piece of real estate. A little too hot in for Scott McLaughlin. Both drivers out on the spot there.
So with that blend bottle, it looks like Newgarden and O'Ward easily ahead of Colton Herta.
But Herta crucially ahead of Rosenquist and McLaughlin.
Unexpected early end to the day last year for Romain Grosjean. It's going better so far this year. The Dex Imaging Chevy. McLaughlin in the mix again. Got his first career pole and first career win here on these streets. He loves the place. Now he's building a move on Rosenquist. Can he get it done inside? Not quite.
And they still have a long ways to go to get to the end. So I think fuel will be a factor. That earlier pit stop from Alexander Rossi, like you said, James, really forced the hand for Joseph Newgarden in the number 5 is Rinus VeeKay. Nobody's been mixing it up more than Rinus VeeKay. From the very start of this thing, it's been elbows out, full push, and there goes McLaughlin.
Finally gets that move done, and Power ran a little wide there into turn 10 in the Verizon Chevy. He had to arrest his speed.
Another battle of alternates versus primaries. You see the green sidewall on the red and white car of Scott McLaughlin. Rosenquist behind on those black sidewall primaries. And in the first few laps of this stint, it really does seem like the alternates have that advantage. It's distinct as we see Linus Lundqvist in the tires at turn 10.
The American Legion car. This is the turn that brought his teammate Marcus Armstrong to grief and out of the race, and we're under full course caution.
And this is why you had to pit as soon as Alex Rossi and Grosjean came into the pits when you're the leaders. Had they stayed out and tried to extend that stint and this yellow happens, they would have been absolutely hosed, had to pit under yellow and cycle to the back.
That's why you hear Townsend always say the danger zone. This is it in case something like this happens. Unfortunately, it's Linus Lundqvist who was having a really solid day in the top 15. But it's ended like this.
Don't know exactly what's happened here to Lundqvist, but that's turn 10, and his car's backwards. Is that a braking issue like what fell teammate Marcus Armstrong and almost got Scott Dixon and maybe got Colin Brown over there? This has been a troubled spot that historically isn't. Something's a little bit different today.
Check it out. Watch the white and blue car coming towards us. And Linus Lundqvist, is there contact with Romain Grosjean? There sure is. The Honkos Hollinger Chevy shoveled him in there. This is what it sounded like. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, official partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. This is banking a Fifth Third better. Hy-Vee, this racing season, help Hy-Vee reach its goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com, and by Firestone tires for redefining limits. Back at St. Pete, what an afternoon. It's been quite eventful. There's been some good rhythmic racing, and we are now focused on the end with 70 down, 30 laps to go in this Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete.
All right, take a look at the blend battle. We showed this earlier. Colton Herta, who went a lap longer on the overcut, hits the timing line right there. Top left corner of your screen, you'll see the 60 of Felix Rosenqvist and the 3 of Scott McLaughlin. Now, thanks to NTT data, we can take a look at the pit stop comparison between the driver of the 26. Colton Herta really had an awesome sequence here. If you look at the time on pit lane and the time in pit box, that's the difference. 2 seconds faster for the Gainbridge crew than the 60 crew. So that was something Colton Herta told me yesterday they've worked really, really hard on in the offseason, is sharpening up their pit stops. He's really proud of the changes they've made and the improvements they've made. Kevin?
Marcus Ericsson has climbed out of the car, losing power while running up near the front. Any idea what happened?
No, I think we're still investigating. It's some kind of power issue. I don't know if it's engine or electronical or something, but yeah, we just, from nowhere, just lost power. It basically went to like half power and just blurring and wouldn't accelerate. So we tried all the switches we have, you know, in the car, but it was just no fix. And then we checked it here in pit lane, but we couldn't find an obvious reason for it, so we're just taking it back and investigating a bit more.
Thank you, Marcus. No chance to defend his win here today.
No, a bit of a bummer there for the 33-year-old Swedish driver, but it was a positive start to the weekend, and I think Marcus will have a good year ahead. All right, 29 to go. Everybody's had a chance to hit the reset button. The first 3 cars on the road are all on their primary tires. The first one on the alternates, you see those green-walled Waiuli Firestone Firehawk tires of Scott McLaughlin. He's a pole winner and a race winner here. What's he going to do? Get ready to roll. Here we go. Green again at St. Pete. Let's race to the end, or will we? Newgarden with a good restart. O'Ward, and look at McLaughlin. He's diving, he's weaving, he's getting impatient. And on the inside, Felix Rosenqvist defends from willpower.
Gets pretty dicey here. Totally different situation. Everybody's going to be at max power as Colton Herta has a massive slide out of turn 3.
What can McLaughlin do on the outside? Felix Rosenqvist locking up there into 4, but Colton Herta just able to hang on. McLaughlin needs to pounce early. He's got that tire advantage with the alternates, and he is all over the gearbox. Oh, Colton Herta, I think, touched the wall there entering turn 9.
And willpower is all over the back of Felix Rosenqvist. There's going to be some moves coming here, momentarily. McLaughlin, the white and red car on the inside. He's going for it on Herta, and so too Power. And Power, an amazing turn 10 to not hit the tire barrier there and make it work.
That's one of McLaughlin's old tricks from Surfer's Paradise, sending it up the inside like he used to do in the V8 supercars. Colton Herta, nothing he can really do to defend. McLaughlin was determined on the charge and on those softer Firestones with more grip at the start.
It is a Chevy road show at the moment. Here comes Power. Power on Herta. That's for 4th place.
And speaking of Herta, let's just go back to earlier that lap going into 9. I thought maybe he clipped the wall, but it was just oversteer getting on the Power out of 8 on those harder, slower Firestones as we see Palou now looking on the inside of Rosenquist.
The champ is up there.
Those tires, Diff, will come back to Colton Herta in about another lap or 2. He'll be able to settle into some good pace. On board now, the Mission Foods on board, Alexander Rossi, who has patiently worked his way up into the top 10. And now he is getting excited about maybe some opportunities to go further, try to catch his teammate here, Pato O'Ward in the orange and black Aero McLaren.
Look how quickly McLaughlin has got up to the back of the number 5 car, the black and orange machine of Pato O'Ward. Here we are, that Dex imaging onboard showing you just how close. If he can get a good run off 14 here, make a run.
He has a good run, and if he gets by O'Ward, it's going to be a Penske shootout on 2 different tire compounds. McLaughlin on the soft, Joseph Newgarden on that harder tire.
26 still to go though, 26 laps. It's a long way around St. Pete. We're only just over 2/3 race distance. Whoa. Little hiccup there for O'Ward.
You've got to attack now if you're Scott McLaughlin while that tire advantage still exists. It's easier to defend once they start falling off a little bit. Look how close he's getting.
So, Newgarden's liking the look of this because his teammate is starting to distract Pato O'Ward. In the background is another Team Penske car. 3 of the top 4 are Team Penske. Well, you shouldn't be surprised. They're the only team who never changed anything in the off-season. Stability, consistency, the key, Marty, with the captain's men.
Keep this in mind for Will Power, a former St. Pete winner. He has been by far on older tires the best car in the field today. Now that was on 2 primary runs. They told him though, remember the advantage you have on older tires. Let's see what we can do here. But on the alternates right now for Power and his teammate Scott McLaughlin.
Good move there from Alex Palou. He gets Felix Rosenquist, the champ in the DHL Honda. That bright red and yellow car continues to climb his way up the order. Penalty for the 77 of Romain Grosjean. He served it already, and again, this is what it was for, the cause and the catalyst for the most recent full course yellow.
Yeah, this will be avoidable contact on the 77. Grosjean really just has a peak of a nose up the inside, nowhere close to being all the way alongside. That's a pretty easy call for race control. Unfortunately there for Linus Lundqvist, it is heavy damage to that rear wing, as Grosjean will have to do the drive-through. I mean, talk about Team Penske. I mean, just think, for 6 decades, this team has been winning and often dominating. And although they didn't qualify together, when it really matters, they get up and get it done. And Diff, you talked about the consistency in personnel, driver lineup. It is paying off today in a big way. And all of a sudden, Chip Ganassi Racing in the mix with number 10, Alex Palou, putting huge pressure on Colton Herta.
This is such a Palou drive right now,
yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, 13th on the grid, but how many times did we see him come back from an average Saturday last year to score a top 10, top 5, maybe a podium?
Talking about drivers getting engaged, getting married in the off-season, well, for Alex and Esther Palou, they enjoyed the birth of their first child. Little Lucia came into the world. They couldn't be happier. They're putting in their roots in Indianapolis, Indiana, loving IndyCar as a 2-time champion, and they've added to their family. Congratulations to both of them, and Alex searching for a podium here, trying to get into the top 5 if he can get past fellow Honda driver Colton Herta.
Looks like Herta's tire situation has stabilized. He's able to click off the laps and the pace now that you've seen out of the softer shod Firestone competitors like Palou. With 23 laps still to go, you got to wonder 10 laps from now, was Colton Herta the guy to the beat? Do things start to swing his direction?
Well, remember, guys, depending on lap 65, maybe 66, there's still a little bit of fuel that needs to be saved. Palou, the latest stopper in the top 10 at 67, so he's a little bit better on fuel than anyone else inside the top 10.
But we had that Linus Lundqvist yellow, so that actually helps everybody get on the same page. Hopefully a situation where everybody's running full rich to the end and showing everything they've got.
I feel like on that Colton on board, we still heard a little bit of the lift and coast.
Firestone biggest mover in this race is Pietro Fittipaldi. Yes, he's back in the series. This time it's full time though for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. He's up 8 positions and he equals that with a former Rahal Letterman Lanigan driver, Jack Harvey. So the American-born Brazilian and the British driver, they're both up 8 positions. And we should say welcome back to IndyCar, Jack Harvey as well. Driving for Dale Coyne Racing. He's going to do 14 races this year. Meanwhile, the chase is on. Here comes Palou.
That red and yellow DHL car is starting to get hungry. Let's listen in for a little bit to the power, the performance from Colton Herta's Gamebridge Honda. We've seen the crossover here, James. It looked like 2 laps ago, Palou was really starting to press, but as I listen to the power down here on the 26 and I'm watching that gap, it seems like Colton is starting to just creep away.
It certainly does. Last lap, Colton just a tiny bit quicker after a few consecutive laps of Palou having the advantage on lap time, so you might be right. That crossover may have happened a bit here.
Who else has been making good progress in this race? How about AJ Foyt Racing Santino Ferrucci knocking on the door of the top 10 in the Sexton Properties Chevrolet? There he is. Hasn't been the most straightforward weekend for the driver from Connecticut, who was another one with big family news in the offseason. He got married earlier this year, Georgia, so he's making good progress up to 11th.
Right about that, and it's even more impressive for Santino because he did not turn a lap of practice in session 2. They had some issues with the brakes there, got it fixed. Santino wanted to fix a few things with his driving style, but after the warm-up today, he told me they're really confident in that number 14 car.
So we say congratulations to Santino and Renee as well. Long-time boyfriend, girlfriend, tied the knot earlier this year. Congratulations as they begin a new racing season with the biggest thing to happen to them in their respective lives. And Ferrucci pleased to begin another season with Super Texas team AJ Foyt.
And really benefiting from this new partnership with Team Penske and AJ Foyt Racing, sharing some information, sharing some data. It's a huge opportunity for Ferrucci to learn from the likes of Newgarden and Power and McLaughlin. And I think we're just starting to see the early benefit there with Ferrucci running really solidly among some very capable teams and drivers.
Here's what I would call the quiet achiever drive of the race. In the Mission Food onboard, this is Alexander Rossi. He started 15th. He's up to 8th and just keeps methodically checking another one off the list as the laps go by, and has just been sneaking his way, Hinch, forward.
Yeah, I spoke to Rossi after qualifying, so frustrated. It was just a traffic issue. Even with that split qualifying format on the 2 laps where the alternate tires were expected to perform, he just hit slower traffic, wasn't able to commit to the lap that he wanted, so he figures he should have been somewhere around the top 5 and maybe racing up with his teammate Pato O'Ward, but right now he's got a 6-time champion breathing down his neck doing a great job holding on to that 8th place.
Understand there was an issue here for the 78, the other Juncos Hollinger car to Grosjean, with Agustin Canapino trying to outbrake Callum Ilott in the number 6 NTT car in turn 1. Canapino gets up the inside. It's dirty there. There's marbles there, and there's also some unrubbered airport paint that you have to deal with on the runway. Canapino doing a nice job to avoid contact, spinning it around, and most importantly, keeping the motor running.
Was there a little bit of extra motivation in that move? The former teammates at Juncos Hollinger Racing, I don't exactly think there was a whole lot of love lost between them. Hey, I told you before about the 2 runways here at Albert Whitted Airport. That shows you beautifully high above the race circuit here of where we're positioned on the shores of Tampa Bay.
And this is cool because that runway continues to be active, James. So you can land, race, and fly again all in the same hour.
And Romain Grosjean did just that when he flew in here on Thursday. The private pilot has his plane, flew in from Miami.
Not the only one. This guy, Alexander Rossi, shares a plane with team owner Ed Carpenter, and I understand that Scott McLaughlin is starting to express some curiosity to take to the skies at some point. So let's check in again with George on the 60.
Well, you guys were talking about the alliances going through the paddock, but another alliance proving to be helpful already is the Meyer-Shank Racing Andretti Alliance. And I talked to some of the team members. I said, just how open are these alliances? What are you sharing? And they said, we're pretty much an open book. And it goes as far as to say that some of the Meyer-Shank Racing team actually works out of the Andretti offices every single day. So really bettering each teams. And Hinch, I got to ask, these alliances, how are they bettering the sport as a whole as well?
Well, I mean, as you have engineering resources to share, some of the smaller teams are really benefiting from these alliances, and it helps close the grid up. As we look at Canapino looking at Rosenquist's teammate there, Tom Blomqvist. But yeah, to your point, you know, whether it's Meyer-Shank and Andretti Global, whether it's AJ Foyt Racing and Penske, you know, these are going to help make all of those cars a little bit quicker, which brings the field together and makes the show on track that much more entertaining.
You know who else used that runway was Formula One fame Otmar Safnauer, former Alpine team principal. He's here on site today. It's been a couple of decades since Otmar has been to an NTT IndyCar Series race. He's enjoying his time here in Florida, and great to see him enjoying some IndyCar racing. 16 laps to go in the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete, and nobody can even get close to the Indy 500 champ. Newgarden leads, and leads easily. Just a stunning afternoon here in Florida, where we are going fast through the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, and somebody who hopes to be going super fast in Paris this summer at the Olympics is Noah Lyles.
When he was young, he had so many health issues. I would sit up all night and just hold him so that he could fall asleep.
Deep down, we always knew this wasn't where we were gonna end. We were gonna keep moving forward.
I think that's how our bond got so tight, because we just went through so much together.
It's Noah Lyles, world champion!
Going to be so exciting, Diff, to watch Paris this summer. You know Noah Lyles and his story very well. I mean, what an inspiration.
He's incredible. He's not only an amazing athlete, but a real character. He adds that. We always get asked, well, who's next in the wake of Usain Bolt? The answer is very simple. It's Noah Lyles. He is the current world 100 and 200 meter champion. He is right on the verge of breaking Bolt's 200 meter record, and he's in great shape for Team USA this summer at the Olympic Summer Games in Paris. Back to the racing, 12 laps to go on board with thanks to Auto Nation. This is Kyle Kirkwood working his way forward. Would love to start with a top 10. That's him working on Santino Ferrucci up ahead.
Had a peek, thought he might send it there, but it was going to be optimistic at best. Kyle Kirkwood, now in his 3rd season of IndyCar racing, a 2-time winner on street circuits, Long Beach and Nashville. This guy likes to win the big party street races. Going to be tough today, but we'll see if he can make a move on Ferrucci.
That's his old car, his old team. That's where he drove before the switch to Andretti Global, and he's looking at it now. Townsend not quite close enough to make the move. Both drivers on those alternate tires. The advantage on push to pass goes to Ferrucci at this point. He has a little bit more, 91 seconds to Kirkwood's 54. So Ferrucci doing a good job saving that push to pass for when he really needs to defend at the end of this race.
Georgia, what you got?
As we know, one of the themes of the weekend, new faces, new places, and one of those new faces is Kyffin Simpson. I just talked to the team. He's up from 23rd to 14th, and I said, well, you know, what did you tell Kyffin before? He said, we just tried to keep it as simple as possible in his debut, and it just seems to be working for them right now. Again, that's 23rd to 14th right now for Kyffin Simpson. Marty.
Georgia, earlier the Booth boys gave the nomination for sneaky driver of the race to Alexander Rossi in 8th. I'm going to throw another nominee in there. How about Alex Palou in 6th? We talked about him a moment ago. Considering how much they struggled all weekend long, Kevin, yeah, I know he's a two-time and defending champion, but to start 13th, make themselves better throughout the weekend and the race, this is an impressive 6th place right now.
A day that started so promising. Romain Grosjean is not going to end the way he liked. He just pulled into pit lane and just climbed out of the car. What happened, Romain?
We lost the drive, so I don't know. When I went to 6th gear, I just went to neutral, so yeah, we'll have to analyze that, but we definitely lost the gearbox.
You were fighting in the top 10 much of the race, and then a penalty for contact with Linus Lundqvist. What was your view, if you had any chance to look at that yet?
I don't know. I think at the start I was too gentle with some guys coming inside, but I didn't have a choice. Someone would have crashed. So lost a bit of spot there, and then yeah, we need to work a little bit on our speed stop. I think we lost a few positions on pit stop, and then I was stuck behind VK. I love this track, but it's so hard to pass because of the marking on the runway. So I was stuck there, and yeah, with Linus, it's my fault. I was too shy. I should have gone more. And I didn't want to go too aggressive. I thought he had seen me on cold tires. It's on me.
Thank you. Hey, a lot of positives, though. This car was quick this weekend. It's a good start in a new situation for Romain Grosjean.
Look, pre-race, Townsend and I were chatting with co-team owner Brad Hollinger, and he was really upbeat, excited to start the season, excited about the driver lineup with Canapino and Grosjean, and looking forward to the next race. By the way, the next event is in a couple of weeks. It's a non-championship event. It's the $1 Million Challenge at Thermal in Palm Springs in California. Really looking forward to that one. Anyway, back to it. 9 to go. Kirkwood is still in pursuit of Santino Ferrucci for 11th place. Newgarden's up front, leading by 5.5 seconds.
Just got to say credit where credit's due to Grosjean there, putting his hand up and accepting the blame on that incident with Lundqvist. Even though he got the penalty for it, that's how it looked from the outside. Sometimes from in the cockpit, Townsend, you know what it's like.
Yeah, and you can tell that Grosjean's sort of kicking himself like, you know, for once I'm on the conservative side. I'm being a little too nice. I'm giving a little too much room. And so he just needs to find that balance. I don't think it's going to take him long. He's one of the most experienced drivers in the field. He has amazing raw pace. The team is still coming together. So I think we'll see some bright spots from JHR through the balance of the season.
Guys, as we see these two teams represented here, Arrow McLaren and Team Penske, you could talk about Honda Power if you wanted to weave that into it. You talk about the IndyCar series. You talk about global racing. All of us were devastated during the off-season with the just totally shocking news of the sudden passing of IndyCar champion, Indy 500 winner, all-round motorsport legend, Gilles de Ferran at just 56. We want to pay our tributes and our respects, Angela and the kids. We're thinking about you. The whole motor racing community is thinking about you and racing into this new season, whether it be F1, sports cars, Indy cars. It's not the same without Gilles de Ferran not around.
It certainly isn't. We meet so many personalities in this business, and I think it goes without saying across the board that Gilles de Ferran, one of the true sweethearts of the sport, an absolute gem of a human, and he will be dearly, dearly missed.
His roles at Honda and McLaren after his driving days, he was such a mentor to so many drivers as well. I got to work alongside of him, and it was truly an honor and a privilege to listen to the wisdom that he had, and certainly helped a lot of drivers through some difficult times. So, as you said, Diff, echoing sentiments to the family, so sad to not have Gilles at the racetrack.
7 laps to go. Can anybody do anything about Joseph Newgarden? 6.3 seconds in the lead. He just continues to grow it. Would you have predicted that 3 of the top 4 cars would be Team Penske, continuing this steamroller run on the heels of Ryan Blaney's NASCAR Cup Series win, Joseph Newgarden's Indy 500 win? the Rolex 24 at Daytona win, the World Endurance Championship season opener win. There is no stopping Roger Penske and Team Penske, whether it's here in IndyCar or wherever the captain races.
And it's just Pato O'Ward and that black and orange McLaren that's stopping this from being a Penske 1, 2, 3. I mean, it really does look like both McLaughlin and Power have a little bit of lap time on him, but he's doing a great job defending the place.
Just look at the pace of Newgarden here in the closing laps on that harder black tire. You got to think that McLaughlin and Power have similar setups, that they could turn similar lap times if they can find a way past O'Ward, get a little bit of clean air. Let's learn more on the Team Penske situation with Marty Snyder.
Well, Townsend Diff brings up the last 10 months for Team Penske with the Indy 500 win, the Cup Series championship, and the first Rolex 24 in 54 years in the Porsche. But I think today's a pretty big accomplishment, Townsend, because they were not good as a team at street courses last year. Joseph Newgarden told me that was a massive focus for us in the offseason. The #1 priority, along with Chevrolet working on the engine package. To be 1-3-4 in the opener, that's pretty impressive.
It really is, and Newgarden yesterday after that pole-winning performance was so complimentary of Chevrolet for really taking all of his and his teammates' notes in the offseason, and he said delivering everything we asked for, and you can't ask for much more than that as a driver. You ask, they deliver, and Newgarden performs.
Yeah, he said it was a menu of items that they requested, and we've heard multiple drivers from the Chevy camp say that over the weekend, that there was some big developments on the engine side from Ilmore and Chevrolet, and it certainly seems to be working so far. Colton Herta, the top-running Honda right now in P5. Palou, another Honda running behind him in P6.
And listen, with O'Ward's pace right now, Diff, I think there's probably a little concern for McLaughlin and Power because moving in the back,
here they
Colton
come.
Herta, Alex Palou, Felix Rosenquist, 3 Hondas starting to close in.
What's Will Power going to do about his Team Penske teammate? Can he do anything about Scott McLaughlin before those 2 Hondas join them? Look out. You're not looking at 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. This is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, then 5th and 6th because Newgarden is so far out in front. See you later. It's a Sunday afternoon drive for the man from Nashville, Tennessee. He's taken off. This is where the action is here for the other steps on the podium.
Herta 3/10 of a lap quicker than Scott McLaughlin on that last tour. Of course, being held up right now by Pato O'Ward. And this is soon to become a 5-car battle for position with only 4 laps to go.
And you know what? It's the big 4. It's Arrow McLaren. It's Andretti Global as Will Power makes a look.
That's why I said what I said. What's he going to do?
And wouldn't Newgarden be furious if a yellow from his teammates bunched up the pack for a last-second green-white checker situation?
How brutal is it if Will Power finishes here in 4th place? Great result for him. Top 5 in an IndyCar, never an easy thing to do, especially starting in 8th place. But to be the 3rd of your 3 teammates, you always want to be your teammates. It's the first thing you want to do in motorsports. And right now, Will's in a great spot overall, but behind both Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden.
Hence, you told us right at the top of the pre-race show, if you can start here with a win, it just gets your season off to the best start. Last time that Joseph Newgarden was a series champion, he won here in St. Pete. Is that an omen for 2024? We're only just getting going, but it's a perfect start. It's been an amazing day, and it all began with that NTT P1 award yesterday for Newgarden when he was so pumped up, so just jacked about what he did because it wasn't the ideal start during practice, but he and his engineer found the right mix, and that car's been spectacular.
Diff, let's see if we can figure out why O'Ward might be struggling on pace a little bit here. Let's just listen in.
Two to go.
That's a pretty big coast phase, so I'm going to say it's fuel related, James, that they're having to save quite a bit. Imagine the rest of the field is too, but maybe a little more than expected. Maybe they didn't get it all in on the last stop. You just don't know.
You know who isn't is Alex Palou. He stopped 2 laps later than a lot of the guys he's racing. He has a little bit less push to pass than Colton Herta right in front of him, but with only a lap and a half to go, time is running out for anyone to make a move here. But it was 2 laps to go where Pato O'Ward had his problem last year that cost him the victory.
And in everything we've been talking about, have you taken a moment to consider what a Chevy Roadshow this is? Chevrolet Power, 1, 2, 3, 4. Best of the Hondas is Colton Herter from Andretti Global in the Gainbridge machine.
The white flag here.
White flag here, 1.8 miles to go for the PPG Chevy of Joseph Newgarden. What a day it's been. 91 laps he has led. Spectacular display to open up this 2024 season. His teammates are duking it out back there for the final step on the podium. I'm not sure Power can do anything about McLaughlin. Can't quite get close enough.
Hasn't been totally smooth sailing for Newgarden. They had that issue on the first pit stop. Struggling a bit to get the fuel probe to seat properly, but they've recovered nicely. Had to make a few moves there on the restart. But I'll tell you what, you know, there's one thing we've learned about Newgarden through the years. If he finds clean air at the front, he owns it.
Yeah, bye-bye. Through the last chicane, round the last 2 turns. What a way to start a new championship season. Indy 500 winner, Rolex 24 at Daytona winner, St. Pete winner for the 3rd time. The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete belongs to Joseph Newgarden.
Great job, everybody. Really nice execution. Thanks for all the work.
Nicely done, Joseph. Nicely done.
And that was pretty clinical.
Yeah,
that was pretty clinical.
I mean, he says nice execution. They even had that issue and still overcame it, as you mentioned. So just that's a warning shot across the bow of everyone else in this series. You said it before, Diff. Last time he won this race, he went on to win the championship. He is starting with that kind of momentum, and this is a driver and this is a team that really, really fuels themselves off performances like this.
I'm pretty fit right now. I'm feeling good.
Humble brag right there from Joseph Newgarden.
Well, he does. He may not be following anybody on social media anymore, but he does make posts, and he's happy to share his workout regimen with the world, and he goes after it pretty hard.
If you like abs, you should follow him on Instagram.
Nobody really was able to match his pace, and I think the field would struggle to match his physique in the offseason. It's impressive the commitment he makes to prepare his body for the IndyCar season, and it pays off today.
Crowd loving what they saw on a fun weekend, and this checkered flag moment is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. The checkered flag belongs to Joseph Newgarden of Nashville, Tennessee. For Team Penske, the PPG Chevy was untouchable today. He led 92 of the 100 laps in a dominant display. Other than not winning the championship last year, things couldn't be any better at the moment. All the big stuff he is winning, and he's in a real sweet spot in his career. He's tired of not winning the championship. He's finished up runner-up more than he has won it. And he said, no more. At the age of 33, I want some more championships. Well, if he's after big career numbers, that's career win number 30. He breaks a tie with fellow Penske legend Rick Mears and is one behind a 3-way tie for 10th all-time with our old mate Paul Tracy, Dario Franchitti, and Elio Castro Neves. That's the space that this guy is in. And let's take a look at the Pennzoil moment of the race. It began with the pole position, the NTT P1 Award yesterday afternoon. He went after Felix Rosenqvist and then took off.
Second half of the race, cruise control for the Tasty Twos, the PPG team. Reminding everybody why they won the Indy 500 in pretty dominant fashion last year with some bold moves at the end. But today, the bold moves came early, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, it was 92 laps led out of 100 for Joseph Newgarden. That's a fairly dominant performance from pole position, really just starting this season the way he's been hoping this was going to go, Marty. Absolutely flawless execution in the first race.
What a way to start the season for Joseph Newgarden and Team Penske. He admitted to me on Friday the end of 2023 was rough for him, but the start of 2024 is pretty good. And as he said in the pre-race show, I'm enjoying my job once again. in victory lane here at St. Pete. So you said I'm enjoying my job once again. How much does this add to that enjoyment, Joseph?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun today. A lot of fun. I'm just, look at this.
The boss, Roger Penske.
I was thinking of you at the end of that race. Keep it together like you told me to. You know, Roger was telling me, he said, you have a big lead. You better hold on to it, not throw it in the wall.
Luke Mason, the engineer, coming in. That was what you said on the radio. We can turn right. With all the struggles on street courses last year, did you honestly expect a 1-3-4 from Team Penske today?
I mean, I think it's so deserving for the work that they put in. You know, I know intimately what's been put into this program in the offseason. It's Team Chevy, everything that they brought this weekend, and then our team specifically. We've worked really hard to close the gap. I mean, we didn't have the speed we needed on road and street courses last year, and I think we just, at least on a consistency basis, and today we brought that speed. We had the execution, as always. You know exactly what you expect from Team Penske. But so happy to have PPG here, have this car in victory lane. I think this is one of the most beautiful cars you can find in IndyCar racing. I'm just I feel very relaxed right now. I was really excited initially, and then it kind of calmed down those last 10 laps, and we can move on from here and at least enjoy this first victory.
As he said afterwards, Diff, he said that's one step closer to our potential. Joseph Newgarden opens the season with a win in St. Pete.
Well, Hench, you know what that feels like to be in victory lane here. That was something special. That was dominant, and that is the way you want to start a new IndyCar season.
It really is. You look at the unofficial results right now. Strong drives all around from the Team Penske camp. Colin Herta leading the Honda charge there in P5. And look, shout out to Alex Rossi, Rinus VeeKay as well in the top 10.
You know, for me, great weekend for Felix Rosenqvist. Meyershank Racing, he comes over as the lead driver. Started up front, still finishes there in 7th, but he was fast. He was in the mix all day long. Their season off to a tremendous start.
Guys, Alex Palou steamrolled the championship last year. His worst result of the season came right here in St. Pete. It was in 8th place. He turned a 13th into a 6th. Shots fired. Joseph may have won, but the surgeon is coming.
You are right. The worst best finish is often the story of the champion.
The best worst finish.
Excuse me. The best worst finish. Well, it has been a thoroughly enjoyable afternoon. Great and very grateful that you spent it with us, because the NTT IndyCar Series is up and running for a new season. And we've got stories plenty. It didn't go quite the way many would have liked, like Marcus Armstrong and Stingray Robb and Marcus Ericsson and Romain Grosjean and many others. We've had superstars, rock stars, unbelievable drives and plenty of action. And that's what you get with the NTT IndyCar Series. We'll be racing with the $1 million Thermal Challenge in a couple of weeks. It's a non-points race, but it'll be a lot of fun out at Thermal. Thanks for joining us. Coming up next, it's the Arnold Palmer Invitation. You've been watching IndyCar Racing on your home of motorsports, NBC.